first guest tonight is a lawyer, a former congresswoman, former teacher, a mother. She came to national attention in 1984 when she became the first woman ever nominated as vice presidential candidate. She's here tonight to share her thoughts on the election and to talk a little bit about her background. Welcome, please, Geraldine Ferraro. Geraldine, nice to see you.
Roger, good seeing you. Thank you.
I haven't seen you, I think, since Mort Zuckerman's party. You were there with a beautiful daughter, I think.
Yeah, during the convention, yeah. Who's now a mother of the most gorgeous little boy you'd ever want to see.
Really?
Yeah.
Do you feel, do they call you Nana or grandmother?
Well, he's too young to talk.
Oh, so
yeah,
you're going to let him say grandma?
Whatever he wants, yeah. He can call me whatever he wants. He's just so cute.
I'm at that point where my daughter's 25, and I figure when she has a kid, I'll be grandpa, and that's a little tough to deal with.
No, it's fine. It's fine.
You were saying that you almost became an actress recently. Hal Holbrook's on the program later. What happened?
Well, you're going to hear him, I'm sure, talk about the fact that he's kind of like the new Perry Mason, though I don't think they're going to call him that.
Right.
And I got a call this summer, and I was asked if I would go out and play the DA. And my initial response was, you know, I'm no actor. And they said, you're a lawyer, aren't you?
Oh, you've been in politics.
That's it. And what happened was I'm the ambassador to the Human Rights Commission, so I go off for 6 weeks every year to Geneva, and I do the human rights work for the administration. And so I was feeling full of guilt about leaving my law firm, going off and doing this acting thing for a week. And actually, it was like 3 words, and you had to be there the whole week because you have to sit as the DA and watch while you know, Hal Holbrook was doing his defense of the defendant. And the final piece was, I said, listen, I really don't know if I could do it because I want to win. And so we did not do it, but I just met him, and it would have been a delight to work with him because I have such admiration for him. He's a wonderful actor.
Yeah. Geraldine, what's going to happen tomorrow? A lot of the people are out there spinning that it's going to be a tidal wave for Republicans. Of course, the Democrats in the final hours have to say it isn't going to be, but what do you really think?
My gut reaction is that it is not going to be, Roger. And, you know, I can understand Newt Gingrich, you know, all over the country salivating over the thought that that's going to happen. And part of the problem that we have today, I think, throughout the country is that people really don't recognize how well the economy is doing and how things have turned around in the past couple of years. They're not giving Clinton benefit of at least.
But isn't that up to the president? I mean, when they said Bush didn't tell his story about the economy, he was held responsible. Clinton has a responsibility to tell his story.
I think he's telling it, but you know, with the economy growing, if it's growing at 3.4%, that's good growth. But still, people want, you know, huge surges in growth.
You want Ronald Reagan back, let's face it.
Oh, well, Roger, not everybody does. There are those of us who thought that the 8 years was too much even then.
Not the Clintons. They got rich under Reagan.
Well, not really. I mean, that's...
well, they got semi-rich.
Well, what they do is they invest, and there are a lot of people who are investing and did...
Well, when she gets out of there, I hope to hell she becomes my investment advisor.
Not bad, huh?
I mean,
but the thing about it is that there were people who were in a position to make money, did make money. There are some people who benefited a tremendous amount under Ronald Reagan, but they're the upper-income people. The poor and the middle class didn't do so hot. And those are the ones that are really doing a lot better now with this, with the economic policies that are in place, and yet they don't see it. And I think that's problematic. I think the other piece of it is you've got a lot of anti-Washington sentiment out there, but it's not only anti-democratic Washington, it's anti-Republican Washington.
But none of the Republican incumbents appear to be in trouble except for possibly one, and every single Democrat incumbent seems to be in trouble this year.
Well, we've got quite a few that aren't. I mean, Joe Lieberman's certainly not in trouble, and there are others.
Well, he's close to a Republican at times, and which
he's a Democrat. People in Connecticut remember Joe. He's a Democrat.
Yeah. No, I think he's a very. He is the kind of Democrat that Clinton got elected promising to be, which was a very moderate Democrat who recognized that some of the things that the Republicans were saying were probably right.
Yeah, but that's what Bill Clinton has done. I mean, take a look. You know, you were
Jerry,
around
with
Washington.
all due respect, he is campaigning in Seattle and Minnesota, the 2 most liberal places in the country. There are Democrats in trouble all over this country tonight. There are a lot of places Bill Clinton could go to campaign. The only 2 places he's going are Minnesota and Seattle.
How about New York?
Well, in New York, it's very liberal here, too.
Yeah, well, you have someone who's running on we're going to cut taxes by 25%. I mean, what's happening now, except what's happening, Roger, is you take those people who are saying we're going to cut taxes, and then they don't say what's going to happen when they don't have the money to deal with the programs.
What about Christine Whitman? Do you think she lied?
Watch what's happening with real estate taxes in New Jersey. Just watch. It's going to go into the localities. It's already begun. And she's talking about delaying that tax cut. You know, did she lie? I think she believed it when she said it, or at least she recognized that you can win an election that way. And you do. I mean, the thing about it is, even I was out in Illinois on Friday for, I was giving a speech for a client, and I did some campaigning with Dawn Clark-Netsch, who is dynamite. If you take a look at their school system there, it is a disaster. Everybody agrees it's underfunded. I mean, you read the editorials.
Public school system in this country is a disaster.
Illinois' public school system is really in trouble. Dawn Clark-Netsch says, we're going to have to raise some income taxes. And people are going bananas. At the same time, what she'll do is she'll reduce real estate taxes. They also have the second lowest income tax in the entire country, and yet she's behind, and significantly behind, because people don't want to deal with the problems. So what do you do with them? You do what the governor has been doing, Edgar, who is going to be reelected, I think. I mean, I hate to predict that, but he's 10 or 12 points ahead of her.
Right.
I mean, unless the people of Illinois turn around and say, let's deal with honesty, let's deal with integrity, let's elect somebody who's being honest.
In other words, let's elect, but all the Democrats run around at election time saying they're going to cut taxes too. We don't have to raise them. She did say that, and if she said it, she was courageous about it. On the other hand, if she was in a oh yeah, he's talked about cutting taxes. He always talks about, he raises them, then he talks about cutting.
No, he hasn't.
He's raised them 15 times and cut them 7.
Yeah, except that I have to tell you something. If you take a look at the taxes in New York State, the income taxes have been reduced under Mario Cuomo. Right. And remember what's been happening to New York State's taxes in many instances. Well, they totally piggyback on the federal government.
Jerry, Mario Cuomo right now is riding on Colosamo, Lee Iacocca, Rudy Giuliani. He's got no steam of his own in this race.
That's not true. I've been all over the state. You know where women are in New York State? I mean, you can just take a look, and I've been involved running Women for Cuomo for
Women voted for Reagan, as I recall.
Let me just say, no, there is still a gender gap. Women voted like men did in 1984. They voted their pocketbooks. In this instance, what we have in New York State is women are also voting their pocketbooks. They're looking at someone who is being honest about what's going to be happening in this state over the next number of months, next year. But in addition to that, Cuomo is pro-choice. Cuomo has been dealing with mammograms for poor women. Cuomo has been providing daycare for women throughout the state. Cuomo has appointed more women than any other governor in the history of the state.
California voted for women last time, and now they're throwing one out probably and not going to elect another one. They've had
they're not going to.
They've had a chance to have women in there. Well, Diane wins that one because nobody has been savaged more than Huffington. Because of his wife. What is a
Huffington?
Because of his wife.
You describe what a Huffington is.
I'm not saying you should vote for him or not vote for him. Do you think his wife got unfair press?
You know, you ask me.
Yeah, I ask you because I happen to think you're one of the women who did get unfair press.
Except, Roger, if you take a look at Huffington, Huffington's wife has been substituting for him in debates. I tell you, if my husband never substituted for me,
well, he had another problem. He couldn't go out there publicly. They were savaging him too.
No, wait a minute. Yeah, this is a guy who's lived in Texas, has paid no taxes in California until he decides to run for Congress.
What about Bobby Kennedy in New York? I mean, come on, I don't mind. This is America. If you want to move across state lines and run, you should be allowed to.
Except that people looked at Bobby Kennedy and they decided in New York State that they want to elect him. If indeed they want to elect Huffington, based upon the fact that this guy's been living in Texas.
I ask you a question. Do you think his wife got beat up too much in the press?
I really don't know.
You don't?
I mean,
or you don't know?
I don't know.
Okay.
I mean,
that's fair.
I really don't know. I didn't read the Vanity Fair article.
Do you think the press is too tough on some people?
I think that the press can get out of bounds. I think the press has a responsibility to let the voting public know about their candidates, and I think the public has a right to know, whether or not you pay your taxes, whether or not, where you stand on issues.
You never released your financial statement.
Oh, sure I did.
Did you?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Wasn't that the big concern in that race when you were up for vice president?
No, when I was running for vice president, we had 30 days, and remember, Roger, I was a member of Congress. You deal with your finances when you're a member of Congress.
I'm not sure you should have to, by the way.
But we had to get everything ready because I went from being this third-term member of Congress that nobody ever talked to, let alone, wrote an article about, to all of a sudden having to face hundreds of reporters around the world. And we had 30 days in which to put those papers together, which we did. It was not called Ernst & Young then, it was called, I forgot what the name was.
The accounting firm. I got 15 seconds, I have to take a break.
But they required the full 30 days in order to make sure that whenever we released everything, that it was, what they could vouch for.
With Geraldine Ferraro, and I'll answer the question, yes, sometimes the press is very unfair. Jerry didn't want to say that because she still might get beat up. We'll be right back.
America is the land where dreams can come true for all of us. If we can do this, we can do anything. We will pass the Equal Rights Amendment.
This is going to shock you, but I once tried to get the Republican Party to attack corporations for not paying women enough, because I don't think they're paid fairly. That may shock
You're
you.
a liberal Democrat.
No.
How do you like that, Ron?
No,
That's
I happen to be a
wonderful.
Republican who believes in fairness. I have a daughter. I think she should get paid as much as a guy. I mean, I just don't really buy that. I've never understood that, and it still is a deep, dark secret. I mean,
Except
nobody
I'm
wants
just
to touch
reading
it.
Lynn Scher has just written a book about Susan B. Anthony, and I've been reading it because she's asked me to write a little thing on it.
Yeah.
And it was interesting that they were fighting these fights at the turn of the century.
Is that right?
The exact thing, unequal pay between male and female workers.
Has some of the feminist movement gone off the ledge, though? I mean, there are some that are sort of hostile and angry and sort of anti-male, and that's what's created a lot of backlash, I think, toward it, right?
You know, I'm always, I kind of look at this whole thing about, you know, the women's movement and who's over the edge and who's not, and where people are, and if they hate men and all the rest of it.
No, but I mean, there are common sense. I talked to Erica Zhang, I talked to Naomi Wolf, and actually Erica has a good sense of humor. Naomi gets offended easily if you say anything, you know, I mean...
Oh, watch me if you say something I don't like.
Yeah, well, I know you, but you're angry, but you have a sense of humor.
No, well, the thing about, I'm not angry, but I have to tell you, as a young woman, I was sexually harassed. I was denied entrance to a Wall Street law firm when I graduated law school because I was a woman.
But those are all good, solid issues, I think.
And we've moved, and now those are the things. When my mother was a single head of household, I mean, I looked at how she struggled. I looked at where when she was collecting Social Security, how much she was getting. I mean, there are certain inequities that just really should be corrected. And what ends up happening is if you go through a life of economic inequity, you end up being a poor old lady. And I kind of watched it with my mother. Thank God I was in a position where she didn't have to be poor. She didn't have to worry about it. But there are lots of women out there who don't have children who could help. And so it to me is basically wrong. And so those are the reasons why I do the things I do. Those are the reasons why I speak up if I see that kind of injustice.
Well, I share your feelings about unfairness and inequality in our society. I think that's right. However, I think that we have come to the point where by calling certain things entitlements, that you create an entire class of people who believe that they're entitled to something. What you're entitled to in America, basically, is you're so damn lucky you didn't get born in Somalia, you should have equal opportunity at school, at education, at jobs, at those kind of things. But after that, you really have to work your tail off. I mean, there's no other thing.
Entitlements, I mean, Social Security is an entitlement program.
Fine, we've turned that into an entitlement, but if
I mean, it's called an entitlement.
If Hillary Clinton had passed her health care plan, we would have broken the bank. Most Democrats defeated the health care plan because even they knew it wouldn't work. They had control of both houses of Congress. That could not have been defeated without Democrats, Geraldine.
Yeah, you know what, Roger, though, I mean, they might have had control over both houses. They didn't have the 60 votes in the Senate in order to break, you know, the discussions that went on and on and on. That was the problem. I mean, if you filibuster something to death...
A lot of Democrats voted against that health care bill.
You know, if you take a look, when I was running for the Senate, I used to say there are 50-odd bills in the House and Senate on health care, some odder than others. And there were some odder than others. But they could have gotten a health care plan through if Dole and others had not made a political football of it. And one of the things I said is, hey, look, if you think it was bad in the 103rd Congress with the numbers being what they are, it's going to be worse in the 104th when Dole is running between Iowa and New Hampshire running for president. It's got to be worse. So it seems to me that again, the administration is going to push for health care. I think there are Democrats in the House and Senate, both of whom will push for that, because I think it's essential. I mean, we've got to do something about the 37 million people who are uninsured.
Why did Rudy Giuliani endorse Mario Cuomo? Don't give me the standard answer. Mario is a wonderful man and he deserves to be governor. Maybe that's true.
That's a given.
Okay. I know that's where you're going, but I mean, and what does that do to Rudy Giuliani in New York? The bitter fight between Alphonse and Rudy, who wins it?
Oh, I think Rudy has already won it. To date, I think that when Mario Cuomo wins the election tomorrow, Rudy has control of the Republican Party in New York State. And if you say to me why I did it, I do think...
Don't you think Republicans will be angry that he voted for a Democrat?
You know what, Roger, you and I both know that if you win, you get a lot of people who become your friends right away. And
Yes,
he's going to be a very, very powerful Republican with a Democratic governor who is indebted to him, as are the people who in the city of New York who realize that when Rudy Giuliani endorsed Mario, he may have endorsed him because he's wonderful, may have endorsed him because he's going to win, which are the reasons why I've been there. I think he's a terrific governor. But Rudy Giuliani did one thing: he put the city of New York first. And I really think when you're talking about where...
If he's good to Rudy, what do you think he'll do for Colasano? Because I think he certainly owes him more.
Why do you think Colasano? I mean, you have two Italians running in this race.
I just asked whether or not if he was so grateful to Rudy, he wouldn't be also grateful to Mr. Colasano.
Mr. Colasano is running, evidently, a good race upstate New York.
I assume Mr. Colasano will have some sort of a political payout.
No, there is nothing between him and Mario. But I got to tell you, the problem with Al D'Amato was when Al D'Amato reached out for a candidate to oppose Mario Cuomo when he thought he was going to take over the state, he didn't pick a candidate who had substance.
Let's be careful. The race is not over.
He may be a very nice man.
The race is not over.
Yeah, you're right. It's not over, and you never know what's going to happen.
And you don't know what the people upstate are liable to say.
No, well, the thing about it is whenever you say to somebody, are you going to vote for Pataki? And they say, well, I'm thinking, you say, now tell me what you know about him. And nobody knows anything about Pataki because he has done nothing over
Okay, we got to take a break. We'll be right back with Geraldine Ferraro. Stay with us. If you get to the point where you run for Vice President or President of the United States and you don't win, you must still wake up in the middle of the night sometimes and say, what if? Do you?
Oh, I do that all the time when it goes someplace. I'm always introduced as the person who ran for vice president.
Right.
I keep saying, you know, and people get excited and say, do you realize what would have happened if we had won in '84? Fritz would have been president for 8 years, and I'd be president of the United States now. Wouldn't that be incredible?
That would be
and
incredible.
then I'd be sitting here with all the Secret Service, and you'd have to treat me a lot more politely.
No, I've treated you very politely. You know, the truth of the matter is I wouldn't be here. The Secret Service would have shot me.
Oh, no.
I heard the Secret Service, there weren't enough women, so when you had to go to the ladies' room, you had to try. Is that true?
They were very funny. They used to go ahead of me, and they used to bend down to see if anybody was in the stalls. It was very fun, stalls. Very fun. Now they have a lot of women in the Secret Service. See, that's one other thing. At one time, there were not a lot of women when I got, when I had the nomination. And after that, they now have a lot more women in the Secret Service, which is, hey, we've done great things in great ways.
I'm going to, if you'd like to talk to Geraldine Ferraro, we've got a few minutes left. 1-800-988-TALK. That's 1-800-988-TALK. Put that up on the screen. It's the 1-800's easy. It's the 988-TALK that's tough. Anyway, you can give us a call. How do you think Childs and Bush is going to go in Florida?
That one, I'm hearing that Childs is going to pull it off. And I have to tell you, I have not visited Florida, but I have visited Texas, and I spent some time with Ann. At that point, 2 weeks ago, she was a point behind, but I have to tell you, she's had an incredible record for four years. I mean, she's got substantive record on everything, on reducing crime, on reducing taxes. I mean, you name it, and she's done it. School dropouts have dropped by 50%. Since she's been governor. I mean, she's done some really terrific things.
You see those guys who were on the truancy patrol, those 8-foot guys with guns?
Well, I mean, they're tough, but they're going to make kids go to school. And I have to tell you, if you get kids to stay in school, you get rid of all those other things that you're talking about with, you know, the dependency on government and all the rest of that. Because they get.
I must say, you're a good Democrat. So far, every race we've talked about, the Democrat's going to win. Now, Geraldine, I wish I had you here tomorrow night, because I have a feeling it's not going to quite go the way you're suggesting it is.
We're going to.
It's going to be a blowout for the Democrats.
I don't know. I
Get the press department on the phone. I want this in the paper tomorrow. Geraldine Ferraro
say that.
predicts a total blowout for Democrats.
No. What I predict.
Are the Democrats going to lose any?
Yes, we're going to lose a few, but I'm not going to tell you which
ones. Wofford
in
Pennsylvania, gone, right?
No. What I'm going to do is I'm going to let that go by. But we're going to lose a few. We're still going to retain the Senate by a very short margin, I think, and we're certainly going to keep control of the House. Newt is going to just have to wait until he's a gray-haired old. Oh, he's already gray-haired, isn't he? He'll just have to wait, and it'll never happen.
Well, I just don't know that it's going to quite turn out the way you suggest, although Chris Matthews on our earlier program predicted, I believe, it's going to be 53-47 Republicans in the Senate, but that the Democrats would retain control of the House.
Yeah,
you don't think it's going to go that way?
I don't think it's going to go that way.
Okay, we've got a call from Sean from New Jersey. Sean, you're on the line.
Hi, Ms. Ferraro. I was wondering, what do you think the Republicans have to do to gain seats in the House and Senate?
Well, I think they have to do what they're doing. They have to do what they've done, which is beat up on Republicans, distort records as they've been doing.
Geraldine, the race card was played this year by the Democrats.
Well, no, if you take a close look at what's been happening, you know, when you have the religious right moving into Virginia, doing their bit for Ollie
They've always
North.
been in Virginia. What have they?
They've been moving down there in Texas, doing the same thing for George W. Bush.
Why are these people not allowed to have a point of view?
But now they're allowed. But I have to tell you, that's what they've done is they've created a level that they think everybody has to adhere to.
Now, wait a minute. When the Reverend Jesse Jackson and the Reverend Al Sharpton get involved in politics, why is it people like you suggest that they shouldn't get? They should get involved, shouldn't they?
I'm not saying the religious right can't get involved. They should be involved. Everybody should go out and vote.
Write that down, Geraldine.
But when they
says the religious right should be involved.
But when they distort people's records,
oh, come on, Geraldine. Like you and I have been around. We're both grown-ups. Everybody distorts everybody's record in this game.
No, that's not so. No, and that's just like
all
No, that's just like saying all politicians lie.
Mario Cuomo. No, they don't all lie, but do they all in campaign times fudge the record?
No.
Never did,
Did you ever hear me fudge anybody's record?
Absolutely.
No, you did not.
Absolutely.
You did not.
Are you kidding? We've got another call. Bill from New Jersey. Bill, you're on the line.
Yes, Geraldine.
Hi.
Yeah, I New Jersey voter, Democrat all my life, and I was just wondering why, if you knew, why Bill Bradley is not actively supporting Frank Lautenberg.
You know, that's a very interesting
good point. He's not out there supporting him.
I haven't seen him out
campaigning. I always thought Bill had some common sense. And maybe,
evidently he figures that Frank Lautenberg is able to deal with
no, come on. When one politician doesn't
know.
Support another one in a state, it's because he hates his guts.
No,
that's usually the reason. Now, a lot of people won't tell you that, but that is usually the reason.
But you don't know if that's say that in this instance.
I say that is usually the reason.
You have not gone up to Bill Bradley and say why haven't done, but I think that's a very good question.
Usually because they hate their guts.
How come that smart question is asked by a voter here, a good Democrat, by the way, and not by any of you guys?
Because well, that's a good point. That was a
very good
stupid oversight. Bill Bradley has been in the weeds on this whole race for Lautenberg, and he's not out there in front, and the question is why. Are we out of time? We are? Okay, Geraldine Ferraro, big blowout for Democrats tomorrow night. I want to write this down. This is the prediction. It'll be in tomorrow's paper. Geraldine Ferraro says, wipe out for the Democrats.
I just want you to see, this is known as distorting a statement. It's done by a professional.
Listen, by the way, I really do like Geraldine Ferraro, and I think she's done a lot for politics in this country.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Good seeing you.
Okay, stay with us. Hal Holbrook coming up next.